equal or better. Okay?
Okay,
Now,
thank
did you know me?
I did,
I
yes.
coached you.
Yes, you did.
Am I going to lie to you?
No, so I'm just here trying to get the facts. It's
Okay.
Like I said, I
So
didn't
know what I'm telling you is the absolute truth,
Okay.
and no one is going to lie to any of the parents here. As Mrs. DeMarco has said, the only thing we have in our interest is your children. Okay? And that's why we're sitting up here.
Okay.
And after it's presented, if you can honestly come back and say, wow, I don't think this is good, then we'll have a conversation. But I think after it's presented, I think you're going to thank us.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Elaine.
Is this agenda or non-agenda? Agenda. I see you have a doctrine of necessity here on there. What is this on the, in here for? Go ahead.
Doctrine of necessity is invoked each month by the school board with regards to conflicts of interest with certain committees, and I'm sure that you're aware of why it's invoked. We do it as a blanket motion every month under rules and regulations, so that board members are allowed to participate in committee meetings and discuss certain items. That if we didn't invoke this doctrine of necessity, they would not be able to. And then in certain instances, not saying the board at any time is in conflict with every member, but if we didn't invoke the doctrine of necessity, we wouldn't be able to conduct business.
Okay, so you do know the other law, 18A 12-24-1 of Code of Ethics for school board members too? I don't see that here. 18A 12-24.1, which is the Code of Ethics also for the school board members.
But the code of ethics, though, for the school board members, when I swear them in January, okay, I believe that we went around the dais. I believe there was 10 items that were read, and someone went back around. I believe each one read one of the items, and the 10th one was read into the minutes by the first person that read. We enacted the ethics code for the board back on January 4th or 5th when we reorganized.
Okay, on your request for a proposal before the before and after school program, is that on this agenda? The request for a proposal for
The RFQ is under new business for the board to vote on, yes.
It's on there so I can speak on it then, right?
Yes, it's an agenda.
Okay.
I think you're pretty astute, though. You know how the agenda goes, so I think...
Well, I'm sorry, I was down at the other place, so I didn't do it. I understand that the person who was here for years was doing a pretty decent job and was actually, had certified people for the children, and they did more academics than what the other request for proposal is, which is the Parks Department. Now, being that said that with the Parks Department, I have documentation here that puts Mr. Bruno in a predicament where he may be in violation with number F on the Code of Ethics, because it seems to have been a political campaign statement made on the community pride ticket about how you people were going to do that back before the election happened. And I have concern about that. Because to me, it sounds like political retribution against the person who was doing it for years, when all you had to do was ask her for some information if she could compensate anything in the, for the school board and using the truck person or the drivers or whatever. But instead, you decide to go with the parks, where in the request for proposal, they do not show a background history. They do not show the things that were qualified, which means that should be thrown out because it's not meeting the request for proposal, because there's no history of a before and after school program ran by the Parks Department. You do realize this is going to go into further action.
This particular request that went out was not a request for proposals. The request for proposals, the way that they're written, the requirements for them are different than they are for requests for qualifications or requests for information. They're different things. This one that went out was a request for an RFQ, a request for qualifications.
Okay.
And what it is that's asked of the information that's looking to be gathered is very different than it is for a request for proposals.
Okay, either way, requiring history and background. How
Well,
would
that's one of
you,
the things that's requested in the RFQ is.
right, but how could you even accept something that was never done before where there was a
Well,
program?
nothing's been accepted yet, it just requested the.
Well, I'm bringing it to
which
all
has
the
been
people because
accepted.
before you vote on it, you gotta understand, there is like something like this would normally get thrown out, but because it's political, they want to put it in. So it creates a problem for you for the kids because you're really not looking with the best interest of the children, you're looking in the best interest of what is politically correct.
Okay.
And that has to stop.
Oh, I understand what you're saying, but this particular request was for qualifications, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, but where do you do qualifications of a place that never did it before and after school program? I'm not talking about the summer camp, I'm not talking about any of the things. And I also have a problem with the fact that why is the town getting involved and doing all this? Well, this goes to everybody, because if you're gonna do any requests, do you do it on the plumbing, do you do it on all these other things and look for people too? Or are you just picking on this one particular item?
Yeah, from what I understand, and again, I haven't done this personally here.
Well, they all know what I'm talking about. And I'm asking the board to really consider what you intend to do. Because Mr. Bruno, according to this, you'd be in violation if you
Well,
vote for
let me
this.
say this to you. The only violation that occurred was me being harassed, harangued, and belittled by a prominent figure, the #1 person in town, okay? And it happened more than once. I have everything here on my phone, screenshot. I would be glad to share that with you after the meeting, so you can see, okay? And a letter that went out to the public, that you're talking about, political, the letter that went out to the public before the night of the election mentioned me in that, saying that I was standing up for one side or the other, which was absolutely false. I had no stake in it, and I went that night and told the public that it was absolutely wrong, that I had no hand in the letter that went out, and only that, in fact, a couple of board members were with me when I got the phone call, and it so bothered me that I had to leave the academic awards, okay, that I was threatened, okay, with actionable lawsuits, okay, for something that I hadn't done. All right? So if you're here and you're accusing me of something, then please come out and tell me what you're...
I'll show it to you what I have.
That's good, come on.
But my thing is I was at the diner that night, that day.
You were what?
I remember when I was at the diner that day, when you were sitting
Listen,
there.
I don't know what we're talking about here. We have a Board of Education meeting. I'm glad to sit down with you after the meeting, and we can have a cup of coffee down the diner, if that's what you're talking about. And I'd be more than happy to discuss it.
Well, I'm just
But
asking.
these people are not here worried about what was said down the diner.
Okay, but my whole thing is that you had a program all these years that was working good. Okay, if you were
It was working good for some.
Yeah, but it was working good for a lot of
Well, it was
people.
working
But these
good
are
for some.
people in the school, I
When
mean,
we get to when we get to what's in the program for what's coming up, the people there will understand what I'm talking about. But to stand there and throw accusations up here, it's not gonna work, because I've been through them. And I've been through them with the head guy, so it's not gonna work here.
But I don't think
I'm
that,
done with it.
I don't think that maybe that Parks Department is going to be as good for the children
Well,
as the other ones.
you don't know that, and the only ones that make that decision are the people sitting out there. They will let you know whether or not the Parks Department is gonna be able to handle it. Okay? And,
If it's gonna handle it, they
Listen.
never did it before.
well, you know what? I think they've had a pretty good, run at it with 350 or 360 kids.
But wait a minute.
How many people out there are your children involved in the summer program? Raise your hand, please. Okay, quite a few of you. Those are the same people gonna run. And if there is a problem, bring it to the Board of Education and we will handle it. But for you to sit there and not know what's going to happen, or not know how the program's gonna run, or know anything that was in the RFQs, it's ridiculous for you to stand there and accuse people.
Well, to me, it sounds very political.
To you,
Yes.
fine. You know what? To me, it was political too. Would you like to see my phone?
You can show me your phone and I can
I
show
will.
you the paperwork, but let me tell you something. All I'm asking is that you need to really put the kids first and do what's best for the kids. Wait a minute, let me speak. There's a difference of babysitting your kids and there's a difference of the person having an academic program. Okay, so there's two different things you really have to look at. And I wonder if all of you guys even read all that stuff that was given to you.
Yes, they did. In fact, they were given 2 days and everyone got back to me except 2.
Well, I see that there's going to be another crossover between the town using their stuff and then, you know, the other one would have used
The only people, Elaine, the only people that are going to decide that are the people sitting out there with their children. Okay? And if they could come back and tell us that this program that we institute, whichever one it is, it's not like it should be, then we have to reassess what we're doing.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. If this person's been here for like 6, 7 years, whether you have problems or not, and she was doing a good program, then all of a sudden, you decide to change it in their campaign literature before the election, and all of a sudden now you want to do what the Parks Department wants to do. It makes me think, it's like, well, what is it? Is it for the kids or is it for politics? What is it? You people have to start putting the kids first.
And that's all we do.
Yeah, but when you see something written in
When the
a
parents-
political
when the
site,
parents
that
see-
this is what they were going to do, and all of a sudden you
When
do
the parents
this
see
stupid
what's
stuff.
on, when the parents see what the program is all about, I guarantee they'll be thanking us.
Well, the other one's already got deposits of people coming to her program.
Okay, are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. Don't worry, you do know there's going to be repercussions, right?
Hey, whatever it will be, will be.
Hi, good evening. My name is Michelle Renzo, and I am at 639 Kingsland Ave. How are you? So my questions
You're
are...
not on the list here, man.
Oh, I have to register for
You were
this?
supposed to, yes.
Okay. Can I speak at the end of the meeting, or just before this, or do you accept sign-ins?
What's your name? We'll put you down.
Sure. My name is Michelle Lorenzo. Lourenco, 639 Kingsland Avenue. Okay. So I am new to town, and my kids will be starting pre-K4 and the 4th grade in September. And one of the attractive things about Lyndhurst, other than the referendum that was passed, was also the availability of before and after care. So at the moment, I am a mom on a mission, and I am very much interested in learning about what this transition means for the children. And I understand you're planning to look out for the best interest in the children, but my real question is, today when you're voting, are you voting for the removal of the current program or voting for the replacement of the current program? Because if it's for a replacement, since I seem to understand it's the Parks Department that's going to run it, then you should have an idea of how it's going to happen and what's going to occur. So I really just wanted to be enlightened and have a little bit more information just so that I can be a little bit at ease come September, because childcare is very important and it's very difficult to find.
Well, once whoever is going to be awarded the program,
Right.
you will be more than free to contact them and find out, and they'll be willing to share everything that they have about running the program, and I'm sure that you will be satisfied.
Can I suggest that we give everybody an overview of the school program?
If that would be possible, that would be great, because it is 2 months and it does take some time to plan for before care especially.
So without getting highly specific, because, from an attorney perspective, I would rather let the attorney lead the way. But what I will let you know, again, this is a board decision, but as superintendent, I'm in those executive sessions. They last extremely long, sometimes well beyond 3 hours. So I will tell you that my role is to make sure that it is about the students, and it's also about our community. And that's something that I really pride myself on. So some of the items that were looked at was certainly not to give anything less, but to give more. So when we were looking at programs, who could continue to give the hours that were offered now, and who could perhaps give more hours. Another piece that was looked at was the availability of different family situations, family needs. So instead of having a limitation on what parent could select from, be it how many days, and then have that cost, make sure that parents have the opportunity to have more programs to select from and keep costs down. And then finally, that third big factor was, how can we give parents either the same number of hours or more hours, the same types of activities or more activities, and put more money into their pockets. In some of the options that we were given, there was also more self-sufficiency, so a little less dependency on the district. What does that do for us? That frees up some of the things that otherwise may be relied upon. For example, if a program can be more self-sufficient in transportation, and we now can have access to a bus or two for the ability to bring sports teams to where they need to go, well, that's going to come at a savings of anywhere between $200 and $300 per trip for us. Likewise, if there is a program that is willing to offer revenue to the district for use of the district facilities, then that's another means of us generating money, which ultimately is giving back to the kids. So again, without getting into any of the specific comparisons, I always say, when we're hiring staff, when we're looking at programs, how awesome when we have everything so wonderful that anyone would do, and now we're just picking the best of the bunch. That happens when we're hiring people, it happens when we're looking at programs, it happens when we're looking at services. So essentially, those were the factors that I can tell you this board looked at as they examined the pieces.
Okay, so the next board meeting is at the end of August, so this will have to be resolved well before then. So if you're voting on it tonight, when do you think the information will be passed out to the community?
So as soon as the board makes a decision, if that happens to be tonight, if they come to a consensus and they're able to move forward with the vote, then my immediate next steps would be to form a communication process with whatever group is selected to offer those programs. We'll then talk about our needs, we'll get everything codified, and we'll start promoting that program's registration, just as we have always done with the previous program. We've always fostered the ability to get literature out on their behalf. We will certainly continue to do that. Likewise, we will also serve as a liaison for parents when they have questions, so they can either go to the group themselves, and if they're not getting their answers there, they can certainly come to us. And over the years, I have, as both the principal and superintendent, I've had lots of communication with parents about their after and before care needs, and we're always looking to help resolve those.
Okay, and would this include pre-K 4?
This RFQ went out for pre-K through 8, so we did extend it on this one.
All right, I look forward to hearing. Thank you.
And welcome to the community.